Good evening, everyone. Hello out to there, chat. You truly are the chatliest of chatly people. How is everyone feeling out there? Are we all prepared for some pretty chill gaming? I suppose it's going to be chill. So it's this game again. We're going to do some of that nice lightweight exploring and looking around, finding the things, and I'm probably going to ignore half a dozen ladders again and get needlessly confused, because as we all know, when you're being watched playing a video game, your skill level drops anywhere from 20 to 50%. It's a very interesting and slightly unusual phenomenon. I mean, take a little sip of some tea here. We have some delicious lemon drizzle cake green tea, because I am just that first world and achingly middle class. It's quite a delicious one, I must say. Do of course let me know, chat, how the audio is. It sounds like it might be a little loud on my end, but do of course just let me know. Actually, I think I'll grab the controller for this one rather than the keyboard and mouse. Might make things a little bit more smooth. I tend to prefer it for third-person stuff. So how is everyone out there? Someone is shouting Happy New Year. Yes, it's a new year. I don't know whether there's anything happy about it. Ah yes, this was our little storybook of things. People happy, fishing, mother dead, alcoholic father failed, murdered his son narrowly with a spear, and so on and so forth. So we have to then get the city story, which we don't really know what this is so far. Not entirely sure what some of these symbols are. But the story which I've managed to gather so far is something about raising sea levels, people drowning, and then the green coming over everything, which is why everything is overgrown at the moment, and something about that somehow overtaking people and the wildlife, which is why we've got the freaky plant people, and the all of the animals have that weird parasite glowing stuff on them as well. So we have some landmarks to go to, we've got some creatures to go and see in our tiny little boat, and well, let's make a thing of it, shall we? Where have we not been? What is the map button? That's it. Oh yes, you can't move the map around. That's one of the annoying things about this game. I remember that. It was incredibly irritating. So we should probably go and explore this little blank area just to the south of us here. Let's go fill that out. And then we'll go to a building and actually have a look at what's going on atop some of these other structures. We do, of course, also have to do some of the achievements that are left in this game, which, if I recall correctly, are going to the north, south, east and west of the map, and spending an entire day-night cycle in the boat. Apparently, yes, one of the achievements in this game is to just be kind of bad at the game and just float around a little bit. I guess we could maybe do that at some point. Not so sure if I want to do it now, maybe at the end. Who knows? Probably before the end. I get the distinct feeling that that this game is not going to be one of those ones where it gives you just some free roam stuff at the end. That's quite a large area we've not looked at above us over here to the north, so let's go have a little look-see at that, shall we? Chat is happily chatting away about a load of other needless and pointless dramas on the internet over there. We want to take a little break from that, chat, have a little break from all of the pointless and stupid dramas, and chill out a little bit. We want to feel a little bit less submerged in all of the things. This is why we're playing the chill out games, chat, because you've got to chill. There was a boost in this. How does one use the boost? It does say LB. That's the left button. That's the left trigger. Oh no, of course left button, not that one. I always get the bumper buttons confused for some reason. Mostly because I'm just terrible at video games. Okay, our little shark, whale shark buddy is back. We shall scavenge a boat and get even more boosts that I will forget to use. chat has no chill ever. That's kind of sad, actually. Chat, you know, you gotta learn to relax every once in a while. You gotta learn to chill out. Did we go inside this building? I don't think that we did. I see something shiny in there, so I want it, naturally. Looks like it's another part of the world story. I'll be quite intrigued to fill out the early parts of the story in this, get some of those earlier pictographs, because I don't know what some of these earlier ones are supposed to be. I don't know whether context might make it a bit easy. It is true, chat, I am just salty that I'm not the main attraction in chat at the moment, even though you're here on my stream, so kind of am. Hey, our little dolphin bros are back. They're kind of cool. Yeah, I want to go just poke around in, like, a load of these other areas that we've not been to yet. It seems like we might have to start being a little bit more thorough in our searching so that we can perhaps get some of these little story bits. They appear in somewhat unexpected locations, like this. Apparently it's more revealing in the Schadenfreude of drama whores complaining that they are in drama. That's a thing I've never understood. People who get involved in drama on the internet and then complain, like, oh, I just don't want to have a part in any of this. Like, well, don't, then. Like, I've decided that I'm just done with people who want to do shit like that all the time, and so I'm just not saying a goddamn thing about so much stuff. I could say a load of stuff. I could sit around and say, hey, I fucking told you so, but, I don't even have the interest in doing that anymore. We're just here for the commentary. Game itself is meh. You see, this is the problem, chat. You gotta learn to chill. You gotta chill out, Broseph. Broheim. Brozilla. Gotta do all of that relaxing stuff. Every once in a while, it's good to just kind of unplug yourself from all of the nonsense of the modern world and just say, you know what, I'm gonna sit and do something pretty chill just for funsies. I mean, you can think of this game, I suppose, given the quite pretty aesthetic of it, you could probably just say that this is more like watching a screensaver or something like that. Oh dear, apparently my silence speaks louder than any word. Oh god. I have to wonder how long it's going to be until someone sits there telling me how boring I'm being because I'm not talking, or how I'm being some smug, arrogant fuck because I'm not saying anything. It'll just, like, solidify in my mind as if it weren't already solidified in my mind enough that you can't ever do anything right on the internet. There is no correct reaction. And there are people out there who just dislike you as a matter of principle, like, forever. And so, when you get people like that, it doesn't matter what you do, it's always going to be wrong anyway. Which is... I did have to have a little chuckle at, something that I read somewhere on the internet. It was about one of my live streams, and it was someone who you can tell they dislike either the people involved as a matter of principle, or just the very idea of the topic on principle because of their reaction. Because it was something along the lines of, oh, I bet they're gonna make all of these mistakes, and then later on they were like, oh, they didn't make any of those mistakes. But then, if you follow that person around to loads of other places, they kept talking about how the mistakes had basically been made. It was really actually quite bizarre. It was on the RK theory, and it was like, oh, you're gonna make all these mistakes. Oh, you didn't make all those mistakes. But then they talk about in other threads how I was apparently defending the theory when my actual point was, look, it was a starting ground for other points, but we've got things like life history theory, which are so much better, and frankly, we should be using those. And then I found another comment which was doing similar stuff to that, where it was like, I pointed out that life history theory also has its little gaps in its understanding, and because it's a newer version and it's breaking down life history of certain individuals and their behaviours by a load of different traits, you know, things like predation, carrying capacity of the area, food sources, longevity, all of that sort of stuff, that there were certain studies being done on the individual traits which found that some of them had more validity than others, and in some cases some of them were basically just, you know, not really worth talking about at all. And I had to have a little chuckle at some of those comments, because they were like, oh, I bet you're gonna ignore all of that information, and then they were like, oh, well, you didn't ignore all that information, shit. And then they went on, it was something like, oh, he's just posting information that proves it to be right and some that proves it to be wrong, so he can look good, like he's trying to take some sort of nuanced position on it when he's clearly not. And then that then evolved, following that conversation thread, down to, oh lol, he's so stupid, he's posting stuff that disproves it. It's like, no, what I'm doing is demonstrating that as time has gone on, because this theory is evolving and changing all the time, that certain bits of information are found to be correct and certain bits are found to be wrong, which is exactly what my take on the entire topic was. But you can just see from people talking about shit like that that it's like, you know, they've decided what your position is, and that it must always be in opposition to their position, and it must always be mouth-breathingly stupid, because only they can be the intellectual, rational one on the topic. Everyone else must be, you know, an idiot. It's just... You just kind of see stuff like that, and you're just like, my god, you are just pathetic. That's the only word that I have for it, is just absolute patheticness. It's just sad. It's like, look, you've already decided, like, what your opponent's position is. Like, ignore what their actual position is. Just state that you know better what it is, even though it's, like, the complete opposite of what they've been saying. And, go from there. It's just, ugh. Yeah, I know, it's like, oh, you're taking a nuanced, balanced approach, re-evaluating it as new information comes out, you monster! It's like, yeah, well, apparently I didn't do any of that. Apparently my position is that RK theory is an absolutely perfect, flawless model that I must defend to my death, because there's no possible way that life history theory came along and demonstrated that it was that RK was an incomplete model of understanding things. Yeah, you know, none of that ever happened. It just... Yeah, learning and improving is a myth, chat. You're quite right. It's never something that I've ever advocated for or ever done, or ever, you know, shown sources that are like, hey, there's some supporting this, and hey, there's some not supporting it. And what a surprise, they support some elements of it and not others, because that's how it was being broken down, because that's how life history works. It's... oh well. This is why I hate the internet. You can just tell when you get people like that. It's, look, they've decided they don't like you as a matter of principle. It really seems like it's done on a personal level. It's basically like, I don't like you and this subject, therefore you have a mouth-breathingly retarded view on the thing, and I can then prove you wrong because you're a giant straw man. It's just, man, please just get a life, get some hobbies, step outside maybe, just, I don't know. Are you really asking me what the fuck I'm talking about, Josh? You know what I'm talking about. You've been around long enough. You know how this works. Hey, look, we got the weird plant zombie people. I wonder if they're going to try and kill me at some point. Because that might add a little bit of spoopiness to this game. But the science is settled, because science isn't about testing and validating or disproving a hypothesis. You must believe because my favourite e-celeb said so. Yes. Ah. No, we're not going to pick that up. That's our end of building objective. That's the one which will automatically teleport us back to our little base, so I don't want to touch that yet. Oh, it's, well... I think there was a wonderful quote not all that long ago which I think is totally accurate, and that is, there's a lot of people out there who think they're smarter than they actually are. And I'm just going to leave it there. I don't think that it's confined to the one person that statement was originally aimed at, frankly. I think there's a lot of people whom that applies to. We've got a donation from the Merc there for Baba. We miss you. Baba is somewhere. I don't actually know where she is. She's probably sitting, chilling by her hot water pipe in a different room by now. It's about that. It's about the right time of day or night for her to be doing that. Just sitting, chilling out. There is a radiator in one of the other rooms. It's got a little hot water pipe that comes down from it, and it runs under the floor for a fair way, so I think she's probably just sitting on that hot water pipe. Happiness is a warm butt. After all, that guy's gonna unhero himself, because of course he does. That looks very climbable over there, but it's obviously not. I'm pretty sure when buildings collapse they don't look like that, but oh well. Someone's saying, loved when RS dropped that on SOA. His face when it was said, and the irony that RS didn't realise that it also applied to himself. What are RS and SOA? Am I supposed to know? I like how I can get up here. Oh, that's the way back. Okay, I was momentarily confused. That must, like, really hurt your hands doing that. There is no way you're actually doing that. Okay, we need to get back over there, though, because the stuff which I'm looking for is on that building. I just need to find the way down. I believe there's only one secret now. Someone is saying, how old is Bubba now? I don't know. When we got her here, I think she was... what was it? Between 6 months and a year, and it's been, what, 3 months? So she's probably between... I think... actually, thinking about it, I think she might be about a year old, maybe, now. What's the purpose of this ledge, or is this just here for fun? I think that's just there for fun. Yeah, so I think she might be about a year old now. She seems to have finished growing now, and cats normally finish growing at about a year old, so I think she is now about a year. Someone's cat loved an area where a warm water pipe was running through in the middle of a path. Turned out the pipe was broken. Yeah, cats, they're pretty good at finding broken hot water pipes like that, because they'll sit on it. They have their functions. Okay, so... is that just the way back? Nope. Please don't do that. I wanted to see if I could walk around the other side of the thing. Ugh. It's very frustrating. Well, the answer is actually no, there's nothing on that side. Blech. Unless I have to approach that part of the building from the ground. Which is a possibility. No, I'm not collecting that yet, because I know how this game works. Apparently, Aiden Paladin did a nice breakdown in one of her latest vids about people feigning intellect. Oh my. Was I accidentally busted in that video? Probably not. As right out the gate when Merc starts his channel, he's happy to admit that he's got chicken fried steak between my ears. Just goddamn Americans. What is it with you and your chicken fried stuff and your steak fried stuff? It's just, it sounds weird. I do... right, doesn't look like there's anything climbable on this side of the building to get down. Which, there's a way up, so yes, I think I have to approach this building from the bottom in order to to get that stuff. So let's do that. It is true, chat. Internet blood sport is the new trend. Well, when was it not a trend, frankly? Like, even on the anti-feminism and anti-SJW stuff, even when that was the mainstay of the day, that it was still blood sport. It's interesting to me that people now declare it all to be blood sport and drama, when it's like, no, it always was. It's like, you're still doing the exact same stuff. It's just the target has changed. It's interesting that when the target changes, the language describing it changes as well. And also the attitude around it. It's so bizarre. It's like when two people within the same subgenre had a disagreement video, not only the creators but also the audiences would be like, oh, why didn't you just message each other? You could have settled this, like, you know, in private with a message. It's like, well, you could have done that with all of the social justice people that you made videos about as well, but I don't see the audience making that point. It's like, well, why didn't you just message the feminist in an email and talk about it rather than, you know, making videos? It's like, because people wanted to make videos. It's like, partially because it's fun, but also there's the fact that, well, for a lot of people it was easy money because, well, copy-paste argumentation, but a lot of that is coming out now anyway, especially with the shift of available content on YouTube for people to take on. They're finally starting to realise that it's like, oh look, there's no more of this stuff, we can't copy-paste arguments, because now a lot of people are trying to do things like take on the alt-right, or people who aren't even alt-right, but just use actual scientific papers, and suddenly people are running up against a wall because they have absolutely no idea what to do about it. Which is pretty funny. It's a rather interesting observation. What was the interesting observation? I've been monologuing for a while, so I don't know. You have any idea for the next video? I have so many ideas for videos and stuff that I want to do. It's just finding the time and the motivation to actually do it now. There's a couple which I want to do. But they're not... I don't know if they're going to be videos or if they're going to be more like op-ed sort of things. One of them, actually two of them, you've kind of had a taste of them anyway, because one of them I did sort of live streaming with Stardust, and the other one was sort of live streamed with Coach Red Pill, and one of them was does a people have a right to exist, like some sort of inherent right to exist, or does a culture have a right to exist, which are two quite different questions when it's like people or culture. But do they have a right to exist? I still want to do that video, and the other one, which was the one I did with Coach Red Pill, was the topic of I'm not alt-right, but soon will be, because of the streaks of anti-intellectualism that exist within certain discourses at the moment, from certain communities that totally aren't communities, but kind of are. I think officially are now, even though they already were. So the idea that distinct anti-intellectualism within those little groups has basically meant that some people who are not part of something like the alt-right are now basically part of it by default, because they're actually willing to address topics. You know, it's like I've been talking for years on both my channel and other channels, like Stardust's channel, about genetic diversities between people, the concepts of forbidden knowledge, how genes relate to behavior, and how there's possible differences in genes across populations, which might then lead to quite large differences in behavior that could then be impactful on things like culture. You know, I've been mentioning shit like that for years because, well, there's loads of evidence for it. But, you know, now apparently just talking about that sort of stuff makes you, like, part of the alt-right, because it's like, oh, race realism. It's like, yes, races as in different genetic populations. Like, I don't like the term race. I think it's the highly politicized term for something which is just an observable difference in genetic population or certain population clines. But I think race is too much of a politicized term to use. But yeah, it's the radical notion that different genetic populations have different genetics. I mean, wow. But apparently that is really confusing and quite upsetting for some people, so... apparently you're just alt-right if you talk about that now. Which is why I want to sort of do a little video just talking about the idea of, you know, I'm not alt-right, but soon will be. It's a wonderful little quote. I still can't remember who said it or where I got it from, but... yeah, I think that's an interesting one just to talk about, just a little, like, sort of op-ed or something. Just about the idea of, like, hey, if you're not going to address this, and you're basically forcing people towards a group or community which will. So, I mean, you're not helping here. Yeah, someone's saying genetics are a factor in behaviour, not the only thing. I've never said they're the only thing. Like, I've literally never said that. There's still some people out there who like to shout the straw man that I'm a genetic determinist. It's like, no, I've never said that genetics is the sole cause of anything. You know, trying to separate genetics from environment is an impossibility, more or less, but, you know, the idea that genetics aren't a point is absurd. But the idea that genetics are the whole point is also absurd, which is why I've never said either of those things. Okay, what's next for you, you patriarchal oppressive shitlord, making this woman walk around and get all this stuff for you? Huh?
Yes, you need to be close. Eat stage.
We're only now just going to stitch the wound up. Okay. We had to get the fire going. Okay, that one's fine. But then you had to get food. You had to get bandages. But only now are we gonna stitch it up. My god, with these horrendous moldy hands that you've got. Yes, let's go and perform a little bit of guerrilla surgery, shall we? My god. It's funny. See, we've got a good point in the chat. Yeah, one thing I've never understood about race realism, I freely admit that I'm a race realist, but it's never altered my interactions with people based on it. Everyone gets a fair shake. Yeah, that's exactly how it should be. It's like, just because there are notable differences between certain populations, that doesn't mean that it's like, oh, I'm going to stereotype you based on X or Y. You know, you give everyone a fair shake based on being individuals. That's it. But you also have to accept that there are certain points of collective interest as well. Like we're seeing now, it's concepts of race as group and how, well, race being one thing which is really big for a lot of other genetic populations, but for some genetic populations, like white populations, it seems to not be. And that is the thing which is causing a lot of contention and problems at the moment, and honestly, I would rather sort of poke around in that and try and figure out what's happening and why something is happening, rather than simply doing what a lot of people seem to be doing right now and just saying, you're a Nazi, it's, well, no, people have in-group, out-group preferences by nature anyway. We know that in certain circumstances, race can be used as a proxy for in-group, out-group. It's not always a valid one to use as a proxy for basic in-group, out-group dynamics, but in some circumstances it is. So why should this then be contentious, the idea that in-group, out-group dynamics apply to certain facets of social identity? Your genetics is part of your social identity. It's how you work out family groups and things like that. So yeah, it all makes complete and utter sense, but some people get really, really triggered by it. I would rather poke around in it and actually try to work out how much impact all of these things have, how much impact should they have, and then the point is, should we then take this into account when doing things on a societal level, or should we just ignore it on a societal level and just be like, yeah, we know that this happens, it will produce natural patterns, but will we or won't we legislate anything around it? I mean, I find all of that stuff to be absolutely thoroughly fascinating, but, you know, some people get really, really triggered by it and would rather just go, but you Nazi! Like, well, okay then, that's a helpful contribution that you've made to this conversation. If only we had more hard-hitting intellectuals like that going on. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it cute you as a Brit now get this beautiful feeling of being accused as a Nazi constantly that Germans had over the decades. I know, it's... I really feel it, like, deep in the British part of me and in the horrendously Jewish part of me as well. I love being called a Nazi. It's great. It's just like, yeah, I've got a British part of my family there, got that little Jewish bit of the family as well. It's like, yeah, I am absolutely prime candidate #1 for Nazism. It's great. I fully intend on, once I have aided the alt-right setting up their ethno-state, I fully plan on gassing myself as well. Just when we're done, because, you know, that makes perfect fucking sense, right? Ugh, read horseshoe theory, mate. Horseshoe theory is bullshit. Horseshoe theory is, well, as it's used now, is basically, I found 1 or 2 similarities between a couple of things, therefore they are the same. Just, no, it's, no. No, please stop being stupid about that. Just because you can find a couple of similarities between a couple of things, that doesn't mean they're somehow the same thing politically. No, that makes absolutely no sense. Just be quiet. It is true there's a lot of Jewish Nazis these days, according to The Guardian. Well, the interesting thing, actually, about Jews and Nazis is there are actually Jewish Nazis as well. The point is that National Socialism... It's actually very interesting, the relationship that National Socialism had with Judaism, because obviously there was the stripe of anti-Semitism within it. But the point was that if you, even if you were Jewish, but you had, like, basically given your life and dedicated it towards the National Socialist regime, you would then just be called an honorary Aryan, which then kind of doesn't gel very well with the supposed anti-Semitism, or the popular view of the anti-Semitism within National Socialism, because what that then basically says is that it wasn't... like, you could basically sort of remove your supposed Jewishness or something like that. It's quite an interesting way of thinking about it, because what that actually sort of implies, and this goes neatly into what people term the JQ, or the Jewish question, is that it's not actually about Jew. It's not just about Jew and you being a Jew and that is it as the only factor. It actually is referring to... it's more referring to ultra-rich, socially very influential people, especially people in that circumstance who controlled, like, banking systems and media and things like that, a lot of whom happened to be Jews, and then they sort of falsely equated, I think, the idea that the Jew factor was super important in that when it wasn't. Obviously, it is influential to a point, because Jewish communities are quite insular a lot of the time like that, but it sort of ended up being carried out to, like, an entire population when it really wasn't an entire population. It was small groups like that at the top. At which point it then comes down to, well, was the Jew factor the biggest influencing thing, or was it the fact that they were all ultra-rich people who, as a result of being quite ultra-rich, had similar views on how they wanted the world to go because it would make them more rich and get them more power. So that's kind of how it works, really. But it's interesting. Yeah, it's someone's pointing out, wouldn't Jewish Nazis naturally find their way to the top of the party, particularly due to higher than average IQ? Yes, that is actually something which happened quite a lot. If you actually go and look at the people, the Jews who were deemed honorary Aryans, there were a couple of admirals and a couple of generals and things like that. So yeah, they got very high in the leadership roles. Which is why they were then sort of deemed to be the honorary Aryan, because it was like they'd proved themselves to basically be indispensable to the regime because they'd raised to the top. So it's one of those things. Like, Jews just have a habit of getting to the top of a lot of things and just being really, really good at things because they have a higher than average intelligence, especially the Ashkenazi population. But there you go. Just interesting things to consider, really, and just to talk about. So I was like, don't you know what happened in Romania under communism, mate? Yes, I do. What's your point? But yeah, it's interesting just how people like to massively oversimplify a lot of these things. It's nah, these things are really complicated. If you actually have the historical understanding of them. It's very interesting as well, actually. The problem is people get very, very emotionally involved about it. Which, from a certain point of view, I can understand, but also from other points, I don't get it. It's like, why get so offended and upset by this? It's, these things which have happened in the past, you're better off working to understand it rather than, that guy has no face. Oh well. But yeah, you're better off working to understand it and understand it in its entirety rather than just knee-jerking and going, because that doesn't help. Understanding things are better. Especially when it comes to history, because there is the old phrase, those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat it. Teal, who's my waifu? I don't have one, because I'm not some sad person who sits around fapping over video games. Just a thought. His waifu is his cat, probably. It's probably the closest thing. But she's not a video game character, so it doesn't count. I must do all of the climbing. Someone wants my opinion on what? Veronica Kuzni. I don't know what that is or who that is. So I can't really say anything. All of the climbing. It's very convenient that when we pick up all of these boxes and things like this from the top of these buildings, they always just so happen to contain the things that we need at that exact moment in time. Okay, so there's lots of stuff on the other side of this building. Let's go and do that. Okay, yeah, we know we can go up here. No, I don't want to go up. We need to go around and see if there's a way down so that we can get to all of this other stuff over here. Baba is not an anime character. You fucking degenerates. Just accuse my cat of being things. If I could access space colonization tech and I could build a new society, what sort of system would you try? Well, the two things which I want to try, like, actually just legit try is IQ states and ethno states. I would want to see a practical example of both. That would really, really interest me. I'd also want to try out full-on technocracies, full-on meritocracies. Yeah. We could actually then also go full Starship Troopers, and what a glorious world that would be. My thoughts on Styx pedo lies? I don't know. I don't know what's going on in these things, and frankly, I don't care. I don't care about all of these stupid, pointless dramas with your favourite e-celebs. It has absolutely no interest for me whatsoever. I pointed out, you know, I'm just done dealing with drama and talking about people. I don't fucking care anymore. I'm going to address ideas and thoughts only. People shit-flinging doesn't interest me. It's completely pointless and it's not productive. Okay, so there was a crate around the other side of this, up on one of these corners. We'll go and do that. He's outside the whole drama bubble. Yes, because I have absolutely zero interest in it. I don't care. Like, I do not give a single fuck. You know, and it's one of those things, you know, could I get involved in the drama and shit-flinging? Yes, I could. Could I do what so many YouTube channels are doing now and try and shit out a daily live stream where I talk to a load of people and try to stir them up to have a go at each other on my stream so that I can harvest shekels from other people's bullshit? Yeah, I could, but I have absolutely zero interest in doing that. I fucking hate the fact that, like, daily or weekly live streaming has just become a thing on YouTube. It's like the way of doing things and making money now. It's fucking sad. Especially when so many of them are based around, you know, he said, she said drama shit. It's like, oh, someone said a thing about someone, better make a live stream and talk about it. Why? Why? Just why? It's about them, not about you. Why are you gossiping about people? Okay. I want to work out this little jumping puzzle. Okay, so we can't go up from there. We need... That's how you come down. So we need to get around to another side of the building here. I think someone is mentioning the Q-mite. I don't even really know what that is. Like, I know of a show by that name, but I've heard a lot about it, and what I've heard about it is basically that description there. And no, it's not about getting catty or anything like that. It's... See, this is the other stupid bullshit thing that people do. When someone expresses an opinion now, it's... or a point of view on a, like, general idea. It always has to be, oh, you're being catty, you're being mad, you're being salty, it's a personal attack, you're shitting on people. And it's like, no, that's not even remotely what's happening. But people want it to be that, because that way, then you can have a live stream about it, you can make the videos about it. And, you know, it's fucking pathetic. Case in point, cognitive thought. I talked to the guy, but I won't forget that. Yeah, yeah, he is one of the worst for it. I could talk about how literally every single thing that he says about me is 100% projection on his part, and how actually over the months he has provided more than enough evidence to prove it. That that he is actually insanely mad and salty jelly of me, but frankly I can't be bothered going into it. It's just drama and I don't have the fucking time. You're not being serious, you're joking around. Well, I don't know, like, this is how much all of this sort of shit on the internet has just killed my ability to care about such things. It's just, it gets mentioned, it's just like, oh, look, this shit again. There's apparently another chest or something on this side of the building. I'm guessing that it's... is it below me? No. It's in. Which means it's probably above. I don't think I can see a way into the side of that building. Oh good, if there's someone on the thing who has the same I don't give a shit approach, then maybe I might like them. You see, this is the thing, I don't care about, like, do I like people or do I not like people. It's like, I have no opinion of people until I've properly spoken to them, so... But he's not a scientist. Yeah, there's a lot of people on YouTube who aren't scientists. There's a lot of them who pretend to be, though. There's, last I heard of it, there was an entire Discord group pretending to be. Ha 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 ha. What? Case in point, you asked CT about that after he directly stated the same position he called you out for, and he said that you were wrong. I was like, okay, what? What did you say? Because I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be the first time that someone has accused me of being wrong and gone on a big tirade about it, and then taken the exact same position a few weeks later on a topic. I know it's kind of e-celeb shit, but what do you think of Jordan Peterson's? There's more than one? Peterson's a pretty cool guy. I like some of his stuff. I like a lot of his lectures, I think, are really good. And he actually talks about, you know, like the psychology that plays into some of the, things like, the Bible and, basic themes and archetypes through, some of the ones he did on, like Disney cartoon movies. That was, they were really good videos. I really thoroughly enjoyed them. But I don't pay a huge amount of attention to everything that he does. I watched that video with him and that Kathy whoever person. That was an absolute disgrace on her part. Is Jeff Holiday really some kind of big brain science man? No, like a lot of people on YouTube, he dropped out of university because he couldn't handle it and started a YouTube channel. That's one thing I find so funny about all these people, like, posing as smart people on the internet. So many of them are, like, university dropouts, and I'm just like, yeah, that kind of says everything. It's like, why are you trying to tell people about topics that you was too stupid enough to understand, that you couldn't actually do an entire, like, course on them at university? He was waxing poetic on a stream and made the same point you had made that he spurred out about of the Rational Skeptic video. I pointed out his position was the same you made in that video. What, that there's a lot of tropes and cliches in a subgenre, which is basically that was pretty much the entire point. There's a lot of tropes and cliches and people milking a load of copy-paste arguments in order to make money. Was that a point that he made? I wouldn't be surprised. Was that the ultimate point of it, or something? I wouldn't be surprised, because, hey, copy-paste argumentation that works, you know? Because, you know, I'm completely wrong about everything until I'm completely right about everything. Do I think that Channel 4 interview with Peterson accurately represents the current discourse within society regarding radioactive things? Yeah. His response was that you were still wrong, he was right, even though he made the same point you made in your response about groups. Yeah, well, because, you know, I'm completely wrong until I'm right about everything. You see, he's one of those people, he's just so incredibly arrogant that he can't admit that someone he doesn't like as a matter of principle. Because that's exactly what it is. He doesn't like me as a matter of principle. It's like a fully personal thing. I can't ever be right about anything. I must always be wrong and he must always be right. Because even if we're making the exact same point, you know, it's really funny and actually quite tragic. Yeah, but he's one of those people, he's just very, very salty and very jealous about actually me and the success which I've had on YouTube. Because it's pretty funny, you know, he accused me of like, oh, everything I do is really easy. Like, Teodia just control F's papers and looks for keywords. Which I don't. You can tell that I don't, because there's entire live streams where I show you reading the entirety of the paper, because that's how I research things. But he admitted in one of his responses to me that that's how he finds statistics and things to talk about on his channel. He control F's papers. What a surprise, it was 100% projection. One of his other points was, apparently I'm really mad salty about other YouTubers because they make more money than me, even though I've openly said, you know, I don't care about the money, I don't do this for money or anything like that. But he had like a several-hour-long live stream bitching about how he wasn't making enough money off of YouTube after, like, the adpocalypse and everything like that. You know, and it's like, oh look, once again, fucking projection. You know, it's like... And the other point was, there was someone on one of his videos who pointed out that I have more credibility than him, and his response was just, oh, if you mean by credibility more subscribers, then yeah, sure. But, you know, apparently I'm mad salty about subscriber numbers, but he brings up subscriber numbers and the fact that I have more to some random person in some other random video where that was not the topic. Oh look, we've got zombie dudes. But yeah, I found that really funny. It is just like, it's pure fucking mad jealousy, envy on his part, because he thinks that I do my stuff in the same way that he does, you know, lazy Control-F bullshit, basically, because he has no understanding of what he's actually doing. So he thinks that that's what I'm doing, and thus his content is just as good as mine, if not better than mine, and thus he should have the same, you know, financial income and same success that I have, even though his stuff is, like, nowhere near as good, and the market has obviously indicated that. But yeah, that was pretty funny. They pretty much could tell he still has a massive hate boner for you, and it's massive. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Really doesn't surprise me at all. But yeah, it's very interesting, you know, people who dislike people as a matter of principle on the internet. Really, actually quite sad. I don't see the point of expending that much energy in it, but yeah. So yeah, that after like a couple of months, and I saw those sorts of comments and that sort of stuff, and I was just like, yeah, literally everything that you have accused me of is 100% projection, like demonstrable projection on your part. Like, you're mad that you don't have the success that I do because you think that your stuff is the same as mine, if not better. You're mad that you're not making as much money as you want to on YouTube because he's openly admitted he wants to do it full-time as a job. He's mad that I have more subscribers than him, as we've shown by him getting salty about subscribers when it wasn't even the topic of conversation. It just all fits together so perfectly. Like, he is actually just mad salty jelly of other people, specifically me. And you know what's even more sad is, someone might very well point him to this livestream and he'll probably make a really salty video about it. Trying to go like, oh, you look, you're so triggered and mad about this months later, because, you know, apparently just finding something rather interesting and pointing it out these days apparently means that you're mad salty triggered about things. Because these days, you know, apparently just shouting that someone is triggered or emotional is a valid argument now, even though it's not, and frankly, it's fucking stupid. It's an absolute non-argument, but people keep trying to do it like that. It's literally just like, you can have a conversation between, like, two people, and it's just like, oh, I think this thing, and someone comes along and says, I disagree with that thing, and then the first person says, oh my god, so triggered, lol, mad! It's like, no, it was literally just a point. But apparently these days, even just engaging with, like, you don't even have to engage with something, just engaging with something, currently I'm not even engaging with something, I'm just sort of chatting shit about something which I've just noticed, and it's just sort of completely incidentally come up. But, you know, apparently these days that is absolutely enough to prove 100% that someone is having, you know, some crazy emotional reaction to something, and that emotional reaction that you're just sort of asserting that they've had, therefore proves that they're, you know, wrong or something somehow. It's just stupid. Someone's saying you're in ordnance school for the military. Control F-ing publications for research was a go-to technique. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it doesn't produce new or unique data. No, it doesn't. You can use that, but you can only get away with using that if you know the specific thing that you're looking for in a document. Like, if you don't know the specific thing that you're looking at, and if you don't know the veracity and the strengths or weaknesses of whatever paper or document it is that you're reading, then that's not a good way of doing things. Oh, you think my name is on the YouTube scientist hit list? Oh, it probably has been for ages. Because I'm not very well received in that little community clique of people. Which I think in some ways is quite sad because, well, they don't know me, they haven't spoken to me personally, they've just decided that, you know, because I have a certain opinion on something, that means that I'm their enemy now. It's like, look, people tend to realise, like, no, if you just chat to me, I'm actually pretty chill, and I don't care about, like, a lot of things. I just kind of let things be as they are. I just like to observe things. That's pretty much it. You know, like, just listen to any of the streams or chats or things that I've done with, like, Bunny or Aiden or Stardust Colting. You know, if you just, like, ask any of these people, they'll just tell you, it's like, yeah, that I'm just some pretty chill guy. It was kind of sweet when Aiden mentioned me on a couple of her live streams, and she was just like, yeah, he's just like a really nice guy, just actually like really chill and very friendly and personable. But apparently, according to apparently though, according to some little cliques on the internet, I'm some mad antisocial person. Oh, my favourite one which I heard was, apparently I'm a really mad antisocial person who's really depressed and on the verge of having a mental breakdown. That was my favourite one, which I read. It's just like, what? What on earth is this person talking about? I just read, like, loads of stuff that they were feeding to a bunch of people within a certain little clique about how I'm, like, mentally unstable and on the edge, and I'm probably gonna, like, either murder someone or kill myself soon. It's just like, what? What the ever-loving shit are you talking about, you absolute nutjob? What is wrong with you? But yeah, I found that pretty funny, but again, it just shows to me that it's like, look, some people, when they've decided, like, they don't like you on the internet as a matter of principle, rather than for any actual reason, they will go to insane lengths, absolute insane lengths to justify that hatred of you, that not liking of you. It's so bizarre. In some ways I find it really interesting, but in other ways you look at it, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like a little bit, it's kind of like a little scary in some ways, like the bizarre lengths that they'll go to. You still remember the gynocentrism gate? What a shit show. What was the gynocentrism gate? Was that the Sargon's infamous, well, let's not call it gynocentrism, let's just call it anti-egalitarianism. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, you're an idiot. No, there is a term, and it's an accurate term. We're not going to rebrand something just because you're obsessed with this culture war idea, and you think that everything has to be branded a certain way. But you're totally not trying to lead anything or influence anything or anyone like that. Yeah, no, yeah. If people follow your mind's feed, one might come to the conclusion you're troubled from time to time. Well, like what? Well, sometimes I have a cathartic little, just like, ah, this is really stupid or this is really annoying thing. You know, that's kind of as close as it gets. I think the closest thing that might be a "ooh, you're kind of troubled"-looking post was sometime where I mentioned that I was getting a bit burned out on YouTube, and that's because I was getting a bit burned out on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about that. But the point is, since then I've worked out actually what the problem was, and the problem in that instance was not something that I was doing. It wasn't any destructive behaviours on my part. The point was that I was still being the disappointed optimist, which actually I fundamentally am in life anyway. I still expected, like, not better of people, but I sort of hoped that something good could come out of some other stuff, and it never did because people were too interested in shit-flinging stupidity, basically. And that's not the whole, "oh, so you were saying that people need to make videos the way that you want them to be made." It's no, nothing like that. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But just thinking that, hey, maybe some people might actually be receptive to certain ideas and certain things like that. No, I was just being a disappointed optimist, and that was my fault for actually thinking that people might, you know, be good at something and actually do things and care about certain stuff. But, you know, as soon as I removed that slight optimistic part of myself, I just sort of got rid of that. It's just like, no, there's no point in you thinking like that, because you know it's not going to happen, because people are fucking stupid for the most part. So it was just, yeah, no, that was it. Like, as soon as I sort of got over that part and was basically just like, you know, you just have to focus on going it basically completely alone, because you know that there will basically not be a caliber of anything above the basic shit-flinging mouth-breathing, which is what highlights most of human endeavour. Like, as soon as I sort of basically came to that realization, it was like, okay, no, I'm just completely cool with that. I just now have to do what my plan is, and just do shit that interests me and make stuff purely for me, and basically not pay a single damn to anyone else. And since I've been doing that, I've been a lot happier on YouTube. I'm actually now back to enjoying what I do. There isn't that slight bleakness, because it's like, yeah, I don't care. I've just come to accept that the caliber of people that are on YouTube are not actually better than what you would find anywhere else in the world. Like, it is just the same retarded mouth-breathing shit all over again. And that's it, you know, once you do that, hey, everything's fine. It's all cool. You're an optimist, filthy scum. No, I'm not actually an optimist, I'm a disappointed optimist. I'm someone who sees a lot of potential in a lot of things and a lot of people, and then it doesn't get realised, and I just kind of go, oh, it's just really sad. Like, you basically sort of, you look at wasted potential and you're like, oh, that's kind of sad. Why can this woman not jump really small gaps? So no, I'm not an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm just basically a realist when it comes to life. But, you know, sometimes every so often you get a little thing and you're like, hey, you know, this could be something good. You know, there could be something good out of this, but inevitably it just falls into the same, you know, basic mouth-breathing retarded shit that the human species does all the goddamn time. So, yeah. As soon as you basically stop thinking that there might actually be something good coming out of it and just basically go insular again and just focus only on what you're doing, you'll be a lot happier. That's what I did. It was great. So that's basically the way up to the top to get all of the everything. I need to explore different ways around the building. This game is sexist because women can't jump. Quite right, chat. Let's see if we can actually try and work out ways around to all of these crates now. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying much attention. I was too busy, having a little chat. God damn it, chat. You got me sidetracked. You got me sidetracked, chat. By pointing out the fact that I've just decided to not give a single fuck about anything anymore. And just pay attention to me and what I do, and that's it, and have no hopes for a better world. But, you know, since you just accept that basically the inevitable heat death of the universe might very well be the best thing for humanity, just to die alone on this rock, that would be great. What's the wage gap between humans and deers? It's absolutely massive. It's basically 100%. Game stream should be renamed to Come Here, Get to Know the Deer. Honestly, there's not a whole lot to get to know, frankly. I'm a simple creature. I see a lot of potential in everything being wasted everywhere, and thus get horrendously depressed by it. But I have learned to accept the horrendous waste that is humanity, focus purely on me and what I do, and generally make myself fucking awesome as a result. Alright, let's get around this part of the building and go get some more collectible loot. Would you be down for a cozy interview? I don't even know what a cozy interview would be. If you mean private chats, then probably not, because I don't do private chats with fans on request. Because that's bullshit. Because it leads to people having all sorts of stupid and wrong ideas about, like, ooh, senpai noticed me, now we're best friends. It's like, no. You spoke to me once, that doesn't mean a goddamn thing. If you happen to find me somewhere on the internet and I'm in a voice chat or a text chat, I might mention something, or respond to a post or something. Don't expect full-on anything, though. Has anyone else seen Cuphead Rule 34? Oh, God. You need a wife. Takes away time to think about other people and be focused on how to get her away from gaming. Implying if I had a wife, she would be into gaming. Just implying, chat. Or is that an offer, Schneedle? Giggity giggity goo. Please don't tell me that it is. You would be thoroughly disappointed. Although I will say I am an excellent chef, so probably not that much of a disappointment. Don't know if you've been asked, but when was the first time you saw problems with certain aspects of YouTube? There's always been problems with YouTube. YouTube has always been cancer. Like, always. From the very beginning. So, it's always had problems. You'd have to be more specific about, like, problems. Teal'Deer wants a normie wife. No? You're making the mistake of thinking I want a wife. I've already made my positions on the concepts of things like marriage abundantly clear. They're absolutely stupid. I only like you as a friend. Ugh. You're implying friendship, Schneedle? Getting very presumptive there, aren't you? Huh? A little presumptuous of you. A simple creature with 1,000 backstories of how he became teal. It is true. I have many backstories. It really depends on which author it is that you prefer as to which one is true. Could a deer theoretically type with antlers? I'm sure you could. Not something that I personally tried, though. I think I needed to go up from here. Derp-de-derp. I think yeah, there's a way up. Okay, we should be going up from here, not that way. That will get us round to one of our glorious pieces of loot. Friend zoned, yo. You can't friend zone someone if you're not their friend. It doesn't work like that. I fucking love the term friend zone. It's so true, but it's funny how many people get annoyed by the existence of the term. They're like, oh, no, it doesn't exist. It's like, what? So what? You're implying that unrequited feelings don't exist and have never existed? What the hell is wrong with you? Ugh. Dear zoned. No, you don't even get the pleasure of being dear zoned with me. It's more simply like you just don't get noticed anymore. That's about it. The nature of groups that exist in the community and how the immediately groups... How that immediately creates outgroups the moment you chose not to associate with their ideas or what should or shouldn't be done. No, that's simply, yeah, that's more like what it is, chat. It's more like a non-zoned. That's kind of as far as it goes. No, it's just people, whenever people socialize, they always end up just forming groups based around, sort of mutual and shared interests anyway. That's kind of how people form groups and become friends anyway. The point is that when you sort of reach a critical mass of that, you end up with sacred cows and unquestionable assumptions and things like that. So as soon as basically you notice that there's a bunch of people having a pretty damn incestuous, very cronyistic relationships, like all of these people constantly appearing on each other's channels, constantly having all of their little Skype groups and shit with each other, behind the scenes, you know that something like that is going to be going on. Like, it's just sort of how it works, because those people wouldn't be having friendships if there weren't shared interests between them. That's not how friendships really work. There always has to be something in common. And so as soon as you start seeing shit like that, it's just like, look, it's an inevitability. It's like, it's expected, frankly, that that would be the case. And the thing is, I don't view it as being inherently a problem. Like, obviously I have friends, and we all have shared interests with each other, and because of our shared interests and the fact that we tend to lean a similar way politically, there are some things that don't come up in our conversations. Like, I don't ever chat to my friends or anything like that about all of the merits of the tabula rasa, you know, the blank slate theory, because we all think that it's complete bullshit, because it's, well, it's been repeatedly demonstrated to be complete bullshit. In the same way that none of my friends, we're not anarchists, we all support the existence of a state to some degree. So, again, we have our unquestioned values like that. I mean, we would be open to discussing them and having chats about them every so often, but they're not going to come up as a matter of course, and probably not be addressed in very much seriousness a lot of the time. So it's not inherently a bad thing. The problem comes when you decide that those things are absolutely unquestionable, you absolutely refuse to ever talk about them or address them in any capacity, and then when you start using your group dynamics to bolster people in your in-group, which is what we saw with a lot of the, hang on just a sec, knocked something over, which is what we started seeing with all of the incestuous and cronyistic groups that they were having, and all of the collaboration being done behind the scenes. And then when people aren't towing the correct line, aren't towing the party line on certain topics, that support then gets basically taken away. Not only is it taken away, but then there's forceful action taken against those people. I mean, that's what you saw in the whole Rage After Storm thing. When I pointed out that, well, there are a load of YouTubers who are basically doing copy-paste argumentation, and that female YouTubers get a disproportionate benefit because of the virtue of being female in a marketplace which is predominantly male, that triggered a whole bunch of people, and they rashed out and protected T-Women's and all of that sort of stuff. But then one of T-Women's, who was part of that in-group by virtue of the fact that she was saying things that people wanted to hear. As soon as she went against that grain, you saw what the reaction was. So basically, TLDR is part of a statist biodeterminist cabal. Absolutely, you got it damn right, chat. But yeah, that was that's the sort of shit that you get, really. Oh, the chick character gives herself up to save the man. I know, this game is like pure misogyny, isn't it, chat? It's you know, you'd have thought for something with a strong, independent female character, who's doing all of the action and all of that sort of stuff, you'd have thought that there would be a bit more of the empowerment of T-Womens in this, but no, apparently not. This is the place for intelligent banter, goddammit. Well, there's a lot of intelligent banter on this thing. I really should rename this channel. It's not really even video games, is it? This is just TLDR chats with chat, while doing something else on the side. It's more like TLDR screensaver while he chats about stuff that chat distracts him with. God help you, chat, if I ever try and play a game that involves being mentally stimulated while I play it. It's just gonna be like, oh, Deer's being boring, he's doing spreadsheet gaming again. He needs to not do that so that he'll actually talk about interesting things, because we can provoke him. We can provoke the deer into talking about interesting topics. Hey, I'm gonna climb this massive thing. Oh, we're gonna be here for a while, chat. I'm just gonna hold the up button. We can have Sargon order a hit on him. What, on me? That wouldn't surprise me. Do you have any particular thoughts on Dr. Layman? I know that Dr. Layman exists. I saw that he took the teal pill a little while ago when it comes to the skeptics and their little community and their general incestuous ways, and how most of them are not as smart as they think they are. Yeah, so I think that he took the teal pill on that, but that's as far as I actually know anything about him. If this was a feminist game, the first objective would be I need him to get over his man flu. It is true. Now, someone's saying, do black people actually have bigger penises than white people? No, they don't. Statistically, they do not. The difference is in size is in flaccid size in general. There's been studies done on it. It's found that black men's penises are only bigger than white men's in the flaccid state. It tends to be half an inch to an inch longer, but when actually turgid, when fully erect, there's no difference. Or basically no difference. I think it was something like a millimeter or two. Oh, okay. It just decided to go out there. Wow, this doesn't sound in any way horrendously ominous. Oh, free climber, this was an achievement. Climb, I'm assuming that was the climb to the highest point one. Dr. Lay meme is data-driven, where the data points he goes. Okay, well, I'd probably like him then, if that's the case. If he actually is like that. As opposed to being how a lot of people are, where they just say that they're like that, but they actually have a shitload of sacred cows and unquestionable beliefs. Because we've been seeing a lot of that lately. Have I joined the Liberalist Society? No, I have not joined the cringe-inducing bullshit that is the Liberalist Society. That is just the most stupid shit I've seen for a very long time. Oh, we're all about individualist and individualism, but we like to have socialized medicine and socialized this and socialized that, and so, okay, so you are prioritizing. So you're prioritizing groups of just collectives over individuals, actually quite a few times. But you know, you're all totally like individualists. Yeah, it's individualism is the very core of what you believe in. Yeah, no, it isn't. Provoke the deer, get rants. Ugh. Yeah, pretty much. How about give me money and get rants? I much prefer that as a business model. Yeah, can we do that one instead? How about instead of provoking me, you like give me shekels and ask me to talk about something, and then I'll ignore the thing that you asked me to talk about because I ain't no money whore. Well, there's that thing. There's so much stuff which I've not explored and I want to because I want to get all the cheeves. What's my opinion on Paul Joseph Watson? He's an entertainer, but he's also wrong about a great many things. You are going to get massive friction burn and fall off this ladder and die if you do this. Apparently not. No friction? No? Okay, that's cool. The one which annoyed me the most was, he kept talking about the oxytocin in the water in Germany bullshit, which is completely wrong. He was also completely wrong in his whole soy and testosterone thing. It's no, soy does not impact your testosterone in the way that he thinks it does. He's completely wrong about that. So if he'd actually read the studies which are cited about soy affecting men's testosterone, I've read a couple of them, and one of them was hilarious. They actually even said in the thing, we are dosing people with 30 times the amount of soy that would be possible for someone to actually ingest within a daily period. It's like they were literally force-feeding them soy all damn day, and then injecting the estrogenic compounds and shit into their blood as well. So it basically totaled like 30 times the realistic dose that someone could get. And I was like, oh wow, what a fucking surprise that when you do that, it affects men's testosterone profiles. You might as well dose a woman with 30 times the amount of testosterone, or testosterone-producing anything that she would get in her lifetime, and then sit back and go, wow, this thing is turning the women into men. What a surprise. Yes, it's absolutely amazing. Whoever would have thought, are soy boys not real? No, they're really not. Like, it depends on the frequency in your diet. It's like, soy products can affect testosterone in your diet if you eat a very excessive amount of it. And I mean, in order to do that, you would have to be ingesting soy products every meal as the main cornerstone of your meal. Like, so unless you're eating a block of tofu every single meal, washing it down with an entire liter of soy milk, or anything like that, then it won't actually... Yeah, unless you're doing that, it probably... Even then, it probably won't actually do anything to you. Or nothing that much, anyway. But again, if you're eating that much of it, you're probably going to encounter a load of problems related to your diet. So, frankly, I think if you were ingesting that much soy produce, your testosterone profile would be the least of your worries. You'd probably be dealing with all sorts of stomach problems and possibly having nutritional deficiencies as well. So the idea that someone just having a glass of soy milk, like, you know, once a week or a couple of times a week, or eating a block of tofu over the course of a week, is gonna, like, turn them into women with tits and make them a bunch of weak betas or something like that is completely bullshit. How about long-term effects? Nope. Again, hasn't been established. You'd pay me to rant about some bullshit I'm great to have on in the background while you draw. Well, that's possible. Heard anything about whatever caused that weird exception in the study from the male contraceptive in Indonesia? I have not, no. I've tried to find, like, follow-up studies done on that. I haven't checked for a couple of months, though. I might go back and just, like, you know, Google Scholar the researchers and see if they've put anything else out about that. And sort of see if they've got anything from there. I mean, if I'm really interested, I might actually just email one of them and just say, like, hey, was there any follow-up on this or anything done on the Indonesia issue? But, yeah, I would, So you could still use soy sauce without turning into a raging pussy, yes. You are absolutely free to eat literally any soy product you want, pretty much whenever you want, without it affecting your testosterone profile. I mean, they have a... The thing is, people who talk about, like, oh, the soy boy, the testosterone, they have a really hard time explaining, like, vegan bodybuilders and things like that. You know, people who do use soy products on a daily basis, because obviously those guys end up really, really big, because they've got high testosterone because they work out. When it comes to the idea of, like, oh, soy boys and soy fucking up testosterone profiles, I think what there might be, and this is pure conjecture on my part, but it doesn't seem unreasonable to me that there might be some people who may have genetic triggers about how their body processes either soy itself or the estrogenized hormones that it is sometimes able to produce that might make it have more of an effect on some people than other people. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was something like that that existed within either some genetic populations or just some individuals anyway, naturally. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that existed, so it might possibly have more effect on some people than others, but the idea that it's just like some universal thing that soy fucks up men's testosterone, no, it's nonsense. The studies which have found that, as I've said, frequently have people ingesting or getting access to the estrogen compounds and soy in far larger numbers than anyone could practically ingest in a single day, or in any time frame ever, and they are often far outweighed by massive meta-analyses, often looking at hundreds if not thousands of studies which find that there is absolutely, you know, no effect whatsoever. A propensity to crapness. Yeah, well there's basically always going to be people who will be sensitive to some sort of food, or food will always have a slightly weird effect on some people. So you should do a main channel video studying research about soy boy soy and the scientific effect it has on them. I could, but it would probably be really boring, and it would probably make a whole bunch of people very upset, because it would basically be like, yeah, this thing doesn't have the effect that a lot of you think it has, because, well, you listen to Paul Joseph Watson, and he's not a nutritionalist, nor is he a scientist, so he has absolutely zero idea what he's talking about. He literally just noticed that some people who ingest soy products are basically not as stereotypically masculine as he thinks he is. The problem is, though, he is also a dude who goes around, like, drinking beer and shit, and it's like, yeah, you know beer has a negative effect on your testosterone as well. You might as well say, because you drink this because you drink a bottle of beer every day, that the person who drinks a bottle of soy milk every evening, it's like, you know, you guys might as well be exactly the same, you know, you're both gonna fuck up your, or supposedly fuck up your testosterone in the same way. It's just that beer and alcohol actually has a provable effect, as opposed to soy products which kind of don't. It's, the connection is far less solid. Maybe people prone to eating soy are less likely to do physical exercise, perhaps. Yeah, it's the sort of thing, it's like, which comes first, you know, are they more feminized men because of the soy, or do they eat all of the soy products because they are more left-leaning and more feminized men, and so they're more likely to go for vegetarian, vegan, and eco-friendly things? It's, you know, which came first? So Paul Joseph Watson is basically a right-wing armoured skeptic. Perhaps. I don't know enough about armoured skeptic to say anything. Yeah, it's possible the low T is just related to lack of confrontation and competition. Possibly it could also be related to lack of exercise. It could be related to other lifestyle things. It could also just be that they naturally have lower testosterone profiles than other men. Because, you know, crazy thing, different men have different testosterone profiles anyway. because your testosterone profile is partly genetically influenced. Yeah, you could affect it environmentally with exercise and diet, but it also has to have a, like so many other factors about your body, it has a genetic kind of, you know, starting point almost. So, yeah, it's just weird. People come up with all sorts of weird shit when it seems to work well for their politics. That dolphin wants your booty, possibly, or it might just, you know, be swimming alongside the boat like dolphins are wont to do. For BuzzFeed, people and soy boys probably have low T before they started the soy diet. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, their testosterone profiles may very well have been in that circumstance before they started ingesting soy products. Like, the idea that it's like, oh, these people have low testosterone and soy, therefore connection, it's very spurious. Especially given the fact that there is a lot of scientific evidence that suggests that that's not the case. Yeah, soy boys are pretty much basically just confirmation bias. It's, like I said, there might be some truth to it for some people, you know, because there's always... In fact, I'd say it's more than likely that some people respond to it differently. But yeah, the idea that it's just like, yeah, absolutely definite, no, it's really not. The science is not settled. And to be honest, science is never settled anyway. I mean, I don't know, maybe over the next few decades there might be more research which points out that, yeah, it does have an effect on some people, and maybe the effect is more widespread than we currently understand it to be. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going by what I've seen so far. I don't know, I mean, keep in mind there's also the possibility that the research that I've seen on the topic is just one particular slice of the research, and I've not seen a large body on the other side. Now, that large body might exist, it's just that I've not seen it. So, you know, keep in mind, I could be completely wrong, because there could be information, there could be a lot of information that does support the concept of soy boys, but it's just that I've not seen any of it. To be fair, I don't actually go looking for it either. But yeah, what I've seen thus far, nah. Not every man could be a fucking goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus like yours truly. Well, unfortunately it is true. There might have existed herbivore humans, our ancestor tree might be multi-stemmed. Well, very possibly. I mean, we've already got pretty good evidence that there are, like, Neanderthal DNA strands existing in modern humans, so it's quite possible that there might have been either different sort of subgroups of people, like before humans were human, basically, which were more herbivorous, and so their profiles have made it in and continue to this day. Yeah, there's loads of possible explanations. This is why it's just really interesting stuff, and you just have to try and stay on top of the science as much as possible. But obviously there is a limit to how much one person can ever A, take in, and B, realistically have time to research. You know, it's like I can talk about the unlikelihood of soy boys being a scientific thing for ages, but it's just based on the information that I've seen, and the information that I've seen is nowhere near exhaustive, because unsurprisingly, food science and nutrition stuff is not an area that I either have that huge amount of an interest in, nor is it something that I, like, work with, so, you know, who knows? Two-wave theory is dying off, is it? Okay. Again, I don't know, it's not something which I've looked into particularly lately. I keep on top of a little bit, but not a huge amount, so who knows? I think I just heard Baba shouting at me. That's possibly because it's dinner time, so I might have to go and feed the cat. I think I'm gonna open the door and let Baba in, and maybe she will meow into the microphone for people, so hang on a second, chat. I shall BRB. and we'll see if we can have some Bubba interaction. And then Merc, even though he's fucked off and gone to bed like some sort of weakling, maybe people can pay for Bubba. You must pay for delicious Bubba. We have a Bubba chat. Bubba, you wanna come up here? No? You're gonna go and sit by the door now because you want food. Hmm? What? I don't know if you can hear the meows. She's quite far away from the microphone. What is it? What is it? What? Would you like to meow for the internet, little ba? Because you know the internet loves you. It's the only reason that they watch these streams is for you to meow at them. They don't give a shit about me. It's all about you. For you are the center of the universe because you're a cat. Yeah. You want to come and meow in this part of the room? I don't know if you heard that. It was probably kind of quiet. Papa, come here. Come here, little ba. You want to meow at the internet? Because, Baba, there are other people who have cats who watch these streams. Yeah, there are. And sometimes, when you meow onto the internet, their cats meow back at the screen. So, you wanna do that? No, she's pawing the door open because she wants dinner, so I'm gonna go feed the cat. I shall return momentarily, chat. How do I into pausing games? Yeah. Must Alt-Tab make things work. There we go. Alright. You gotta love how video game streams get interrupted because we must feed the cat. It's exactly how it works. Why does it need a pause? Well, why not? I don't know. Your brain fills in the interaction with the cat, although TLDR has no face. As it should. Nothing personal, but I find the way grown humans revert to some form of retardation in the presence of their slave animals somewhat troubling. What do you mean by some form of retardation? You mean talking to an animal in a way that is not threatening? And in a way that actually they respond to? Because you know that the reason people often talk to animals in higher tones of voice is because it actually makes interacting with the animal easier. Because what happens then is you have a voice to communicate with humans and you have a voice to communicate with the animal. Which, first of all, actually means that the animal then knows when you're talking to the animal as opposed to other humans in the room, which is kind of important. And also, you kind of have to use simple language and keywords like that because then the animal will be able to learn to respond to them. It's not a form of retardation, it's actually a very, very sensible thing to do. Which is why when I talk to people, I use this voice, and when I talk to Baba, I will talk to her like this, and I will say, Papa, what do you want? What is it? What are the things? Because you have to make it, you alter that tone, because that way then she knows when I'm addressing her. And she has already learned words for, you know, things like food and whatnot. So she responds not only to the tone of voice, but then also to the content of what you're saying as well. Hey, you never knew that. There you go. Learned a thing. Yeah. So there is a reason. I mean, some people do it because they do just fucking baby talk to their animals because they think their babies are their animals are babies. And they'll have like full-on conversations with them. But no, I normally use it just to actually communicate information to her, unless I'm being incredibly sarcastic to her. Like when I talk to her about her presence being needed on the internet. Humans switch into child interaction mode because of the frequency the meow triggers it. There is partial truth to that as well, yes. Unfortunately for me, that doesn't actually work very well because I have a very bad reaction when it comes to the frequency that babies cry at, because it actually makes me cringe horrendously because I don't like it. But yeah, cats have basically over the decades or centuries now learned to meow at a frequency that mimics that of a baby's baby sounds, and that's why humans respond to it really quickly. It's why cats can meow from quite a long way away, and if they're meowing for their owners will hear it because it's at the same frequency of a baby cry. So that's one thing which I find really funny. Like, people say it's like, oh, cats don't like their owners, they don't care about them, they don't love them or anything like that. It's like, look, your cat has evolved to speak in a frequency that is specifically designed to address humans. Like, cats, A, don't meow in the wild anyway, not very much. They'll do it when they're kittens, but that's about it. So your cat has a language to speak to you and is in a frequency that is geared to you and your understanding, and an immediate reaction from you. So this idea that your cat, like, doesn't give a shit about you or interact with you, that's, it's complete nonsense. Cats very much like their owners. Don't people tolerate their babies' cries more than other people's? Yes. Am I infected by the cat lady mind control disease? What, toxoplasma? No, I'm not. Yeah, one of your cats will literally self-pet if you lower the hand for them. Yeah, cats will do that. I actually had an experience, was it last week? I think it was. I was very, very sick last week, like the proper, you know, horrendous illness. It was one of those, to put it as politely as possible, exploding from both ends diseases. And so I was basically locked in a bathroom, or running from this office to the bathroom, like every sort of 20 minutes or 20 or 30 minutes or something like that. And the cat, rather than running away from me or anything like that, she actually followed me from the room, like, all the time. Every time. She was just absolutely stuck to me over the, like, couple of days that illness lasted. And she doesn't normally do that. Like, she's normally kind of stuck to me a little bit. She's a bit of a shadow for me, because obviously she was at one point abandoned, and I think it makes her feel better knowing where I am. But she's got no problem, like, going and sleeping in another room for extended periods of time. But on those 2 days when I was sick, no, she was just absolutely glued to me all the time, which was absolutely adorable. Norovirus? Probably norovirus. I don't know what it was. I think it was either that or just straight up food poisoning. I'm really not sure. How many traits do I think cats and dogs have evolved for communication with humans? Probably quite a lot, actually. I think some of the canine ones are more incidental, because canines are social animals anyway, so they just kind of expand their social circle to include humans, so humans have learned to understand their language, they've evolved to understand ours. But cats are a very interesting one. They have very specifically evolved the ability to interact with humans at frequencies that they understand. Cats also prefer cuddles over food and water if they're denied all three for a long time. Yes and no. I think obviously if you gave them the option of food first, they'd rather go for that. But obviously the wanting to cuddle thing is because that's how they get attention, because they know that humans are their source of food. It's like my cat, she doesn't really like a huge amount of attention, but in the early hours of the morning when I wake up, or just before I wake up, she wants a lot of attention, you know, a lot of fussing and petting and all that sort of stuff, which she doesn't normally do. Like, she likes a little bit every so often, but not huge amounts. But obviously she wants that because she's then hungry. So. Do I have that intense stare at one time from your cat? Perhaps. I don't really know. I didn't really have an intense stare from my cat, which was the time I knew that my cat actually liked me. That was on the first day when she came here, and she wouldn't leave me alone, and she was rolling all over me, purring all the time, because I was giving her attention and food, and she had a home to live in that wasn't full of other cats. Which was the first home that she went to. That was the person who found her. They had like 5 other cats. So she was very, very stressed, because she was basically locked in a cage for... Well, not locked in a cage, but she was shut in a room with a cage for basically a couple of days in a house full of other cats. So she didn't like that. So as far as she was concerned, as soon as she came into a place where there were no other cats, and she was like the center of attention, it was just like, yep, I love you. Like, I love you now so much and forever. Because you have saved me from all of the things. Oh, there we go. I have located the secret that I think I've run past twice now because I've been too busy talking. There we go. Let's see if we can... Can we figure out the city story? Not really. I still think that it's kind of just... I think it is still basically still just a climate change story. It's like, oh look, there were people and cities, and they built cities, and cities went everywhere, and the planet got hot and stuff, and then there was rain and floods, and things were destroyed, and people died, and something about lightning striking the Earth, and then this giant green life form coming and taking over everything with plant life. I think this is kind of like I do think that this is somewhat the, what is it, like the polar ice caps melt and it releases some sort of, not necessarily virus or something like that, but basically this kind of like predatory green life, which has spread over everything and slowly takes over living organisms as well. I think that's basically the story that we're looking at for this game. It's pretty cool. Gotta admit, I do enjoy this game. If it's a climate change story, why are there so many mentions of Harry Potter? If there are mentions of Harry Potter, it's probably because you're putting them in there. Honestly, it looks like they built cities on top of cities. Possibly. I think that that was one of the things. It was like, resettled initially afterwards, obviously, because that's where your story comes in here. You can see that there are, like, cities and stuff above the waves, because some people survived. So I think what your story is that obviously you survive, or you're, like, however many generations after the catastrophe, in a non-infected building area, like a load of structures out somewhere else, and then this social problem happens, and then you've come to this place. So these last two things that we find are going to fill in the end of our story that we know. But I think that's the city story. It's global warming, flooding, everything gets destroyed. This green stuff comes over and takes over the world. Survivors went and built stuff elsewhere, but then we get these weird plant people and whatnot. You haven't found environmental games that weren't objectively anti-science, except this one kind of. Well, there's plenty of games that sort of do this. Well, I say plenty. There's one other that I know of, and that's the Talos Principle. The Talos Principle is, well, it's basically this story as well. It's, polar ice caps melted, and a disease was let out and destroyed all of humanity, and you play as an AI inside a computer, trying to basically create a learning algorithm so advanced that it, as a robot, can then basically come out and take over the world and continue on the knowledge of humanity. Soma was another story as well, but that one's less about climate change and more about a meteor striking the Earth, but similar theme, you know? Look, we've got all of the freaky mutant people. Yay! Now that we have seen to the comfort and literally everything of this annoying small child, who is probably still going to die anyway, you sure you want to be touching him with those mossy hands? I don't know about anyone else, but if I started sprouting moss and shit from my hands like that, I'd probably, like, you know, pick it off or something. You know, like, I can't be the only one. Yes, the plant and shit is getting closer. Maybe you should take this as a hint that this is like some sort of aggressive things. Yeah, the bitch is getting greener, yo. That's exactly how it works. Is she going to do sex with the weird blobby oddmans?
Something.
You need something to take away the pain. My god, we're literally going out to get paracetamol now. Well, there's a secret on this building. I think someone actually asked earlier, is the clock tower climbable? I think it must be, because there's a secret on it. So I think it must be climbable. That looks climbable. There we go. Maybe it gives you photosynthesis in the daylight hours. That'd be great. Don't know about anyone else, but I would love to be able to photosynthesize. That would just be wonderful. But yeah, I don't even have to bother eating. I just have to go and stand next to the window for a little bit. I'm guessing we go down here and then around somehow? No? Okay. No, that's just another way up. Ah, can we... Yeah, I think we must be able to pull up on this one. There we go. Whack him with a brick. Yeah, I think, honestly, that would be... that would be one way of dealing with it. I think rather than take away the pain, you'd just be looking at euthanasia, perhaps. She's serving the boy, like in real life. I know. Like, chat, we played this game, we thought that it would be some feminist utopia thing with our strong, independent women's. But all this is just patriarchal subservience. Like, it's so depressing, it's absolutely terrible. I'm guessing this drain pipe doesn't go all the way to the bottom, thus making it somewhat inefficient. We're gonna climb! We're climbing things! Yay! Climbing! Yeah, we did it! We did it, chat! We found a thing! Of course, the other thing is, because even though these little pictograph things are showing lightning striking, it may not have been like natural lightning, it could be like an interstellar space thing. Or perhaps representation of a meteor or something, so maybe we're dealing with literal triffids! I don't know. We have, I think, literally one other thing to find, but I kind of want to get all of the other stuff. Like, I wanna do all the other things. I think I've already travelled to the north, south, east, and west. Let's see if I can find the Chiefs. I have finished the campaign. Okay, visit all the landmarks. Visit the north, southeast and west boundaries, see all the creatures, stay in a boat for a day-night cycle, gather all of the secrets, and gather all the boat stuff. Well, unfortunately, because I'm a goddamn completionist, we're going to have to do all of them. So visit all of the boundaries. Well, surely that's going to be a really easy one would have thought. Although I don't know if I have to go to specific places in order to trigger them. I should also actually move chat back on the screen so I can see you all. There you go, chat. I can see you. Triffids were from the USSR, though. No, they weren't. They were from a meteor storm. You are a liar. Because story of the Triffids is there is a meteor storm which comes overhead, and the meteors blind everyone who looks at them, and then that is where the Triffids come from and why they have such an easy time taking over the world, because most of the people are blind. Because Triffids. Because how else are you going to lose to a plant? I don't know, maybe there is a version where they're created by Russians, but... Exactly, see, the meteor storm was where the blindness came from, precisely. The protagonist was from the Triffid farm. Are you sure? I think we might be talking about different versions of the same story here. I'm pretty sure Triffids weren't from the USSR. Pretty damn sure. Look, we're going to the South Place thing. No, I'm going this way. I must reach the most southerly point. Well, surely that is the most southerly point. I mean, I can't see any way of going more south. You lose to a plant if you start getting mossy. I think this girl and her boat have already lost then. I kind of just want to do like all of the edges of the map just for fun. Get the outline. I think we've already done that part, but let's just let's go nuts. Ah, boat stuff. I want it. Aha. I want to be able to go places quickly. I suppose trying to do this achievement is actually going to be really beneficial, because I will probably actually end up staying in the boat for an entire day-night cycle at this rate. I'm going to hit an invisible wall soon. Maybe. Yeah, I think I've just hit the game's invisible wall. Hey, there we go! We got the circumnavigation thing. We did it, chat. Look at that. We achieved something today. We've achieved absolutely nothing, because this is playing video games after all. But, you know, we did it. I still want to get all of the other chiefs and stuff, because they're kind of important to me. It's getting stormier. Which is worse for being mossy, rain or sun? I don't know. I would imagine probably rain, because surely it being wet would encourage the moss to grow more, whereas the sun might dry it out. Maybe. I don't know. We're asking all of the very deep, important lore questions about this game. I think I'm just going to stay in the boat for like an entire day-night cycle here, so... That's a really big-ass whale over there. That's a much bigger whale than any of the whales we've otherwise seen, I think. Can I get it in my little book thing? Yeah! That's the proper big-ass whale. We've got one more, like, creature to find as well. Not entirely sure what it could possibly be. We've got manta rays already. We've got the birds. I'm not sure what the other animal might be. But we've got to catch them all, chat. It's how video games work, right? I'm pretty sure that was the tagline of a video game once upon a time. And it also has glowy bits. Yeah, it does. It's a thick whale. It was the thickest whale that we've seen. I want to go and explore all the blank areas of the map. Humans are naturally wet. Well, that's just because you're weird. Yeah, so we need to go poke around over here. What kind of music do I listen to? I like vast amounts of metal, because metal. I enjoy modern, I'm not sure what you'd call it, modern orchestral stuff, which is the kind of stuff that you get from movie soundtracks almost. Easiest examples of that are things like, I suppose, Two Steps to Hell and things like that. So, you know, that kind of like epic orchestral stuff. And I also rather enjoy myself a little bit of the good old vaporwave and the lo-fi beats. Also Dat Simpsons wave, which is apparently actually a music genre unto itself somehow. Where did the extra water come from? Did the planet crash into Earth, or did the tectonic plates sink? I don't know. I think the current explanation, well, as much of an explanation that we might have is polar ice caps melting. But I don't know where the rest of the water would have come from. I assume that maybe there was a free-up of a load of other water somehow or something. I don't know. It's probably best if you just... you call it orchestral. Yeah, that's probably the best way of going for it. But yeah, I like orchestral stuff. I also enjoy when orchestral and metal come together. That is some very enjoyable listening stuff. I don't want to just go straight for our objective, I want to do all of the other stuff. That's got to be a landmark. Come on, that horse. There we go. That horse is a landmark. Chat seems to be slowing down. Why is chat slowing down? Have a bunch of you just decided to, like, fuck off and go to sleep or something? Filthy casuals. We need to find another landmark. What would be a landmark? I'm willing to bet that it's probably, if I had to guess, in the area that I've not been to yet. The only explanation you can give is tectonic plates sunk beneath the Earth's interior ocean. Interior ocean? That's a thing. Diablo Swing Orchestra. I don't know what that is. Is that a group or something? I have never heard of it. You saw the orchestral performance of Dear Esther. Literally a guy playing it on screen while a string quartet played along. Yeah, walking simulators like that, man. Sometimes they have pretty good soundtracks. You were just gone to brush your hair and you're already complaining about not getting bombarded with nods. Look, Schneedle, you just have to accept it. You're like a professional troll of the chat. Okay, you gotta take your job seriously here. No half-arsing it, alright? It's your job to stir up all of the shit, because you're one of the prime motivating factors for me ranting about shit. Because old school trolling and old school topics that we know about, and so it's easy to trigger me into going on about them. Can you even play Dear Esther? Yes, you do. Walking simulators are games, despite what some people will say. I personally prefer my games to have a bit more gameplay, but who knows. Of course, the other option is that if is it really a game if it doesn't have a fail state? That's one point which, actually, I think I've made that before. So if a game doesn't have a fail state, can you really call it a game? But this game, I don't think this game has a fail state, not one that we've been able to find so far. So if that's the case, is this a game? I don't know. So that then comes into the what is a game sort of question. It's an interesting one. I don't think that a fail state is necessary for a game to be a game. Or is it? Or otherwise, is it just interactive media if there is no fail state? You see? All the questions. If you're not careful, chat, I will go full Total Biscuit and talk about that for like 20 minutes. And then you'll regret it. Because I will give the long considerations to is a fail state necessary for something to be a game? Because if there is no fail state, then can you consider yourself to be doing a video game? Ah. The fail state is when you give up, but giving up isn't a fail state. That's a state of failure, not a fail state, because you are the failure. If you give up at a game as easy as this, then you are a failure and you should probably /quit life. Why put down the board? The veg pygmies trying to convert her. I don't know, maybe. There's a lot of boat stuff in this game. I've barely found any of it. Yeah, I know, I just reset my boat for the day achievement, I don't care. I kind of want to, like, find all of the other things. This game was constructed for 12-year-olds who can't read English. Yeah, pretty much. I have no problem with easy games existing, or simple games existing. You know, video games, they be for everyone, yo, not just hardcore gamers like me. Look at this hardcore gaming that I'm doing. Yeah, most hardcore. You'll never find a more hardcore game than this. Give us those thoughts, just you talking is a wonderful thing. Okay, you're starting to sound a little bit like a stalker there, if you want the honest. Just like, yes, I just like listening to you talk. Okay, chill it down, might want to tone it down there a little bit. Next thing you're going to tell me you like watching me sleep, and then I'm going to have to turn off the chat, go and have a cold shower, and then decide to move my entire operations to a bunker somewhere in the middle of a desert. What's a game I hate that everyone likes? I don't know if I hate a game. I don't know if I have strong enough feelings in general to hate something. Whether I could hate something as trivial as a video game, I severely doubt that. Haven't seen you play LOL in a long time. I don't play LOL. Yeah, Skyrim is overrated. There's games which I think are... And the thing is, I don't even like calling games overrated, because what is overrated? Overrated just means I don't like this game, and so I think other people shouldn't like it as well. It's not a helpful term. So, I don't really know. It's like, are there games which are really popular that I think aren't deserving of their popularity? I mean, that might be a thing, but frankly, I don't care. Stuff ends up being popular because people like it. Just because I don't like it, that doesn't mean that it's, like, not deserving of its success or something like that. I'm trying to think if there's any games that I really didn't enjoy that I've played. Not really, because I'm quite careful about how I pick my games, so I don't know. Yes, it was Dota 2. No, I've basically quit Dota. The community is just fucking awful. Like, I played Dota, like, about 3 months ago, had 3 or 4 games. Community was still shit, like, there was flamers and leavers in every single game, and I was like, yeah, not gonna do that again. Came back, I actually played 3 games of Dota, I think, what was it? 4 days ago, 5 days ago, something like that. I was like, yep. Still had flamers and general pieces of shit in every single game. It's just like, yeah, still not doing this. It's, yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, a game is fun if I'm playing it with friends, but if I'm not playing it with friends, it's just shit. And I think a lot of my friends have also kind of moved on from Dota because of how much it's changed over the time. It's become so much more like League of Legends with, sort of little talent trees and extra passive things and stuff like that, so, yeah, I think, like a lot of the people I know have just gone off Dota as well, so there's no real reason for me to play it anymore. You're interwebbing wrong. You have to declare that all who like what you don't like are total noobs who don't even game, movie, make videos, etc. Yeah, it's true, I really should actually do that, but I don't know, I've never been one for that sort of shit anyway. Like, it's funny though, like, there's a number of people who have asserted that that's what I do over the times. It's quite an interesting one. Like, remember when I pointed out that ponage videos aren't helpful if you're someone who genuinely considers yourself to be part of a culture war? And that turned into Teal'Deer says people should only make videos like how he makes them and everyone else is crap. I was like, yeah, I'm amazed. Where the fuck did that straw man come from? Stating a preference doesn't mean you have to do something or not do something. It just means that I have a preference for a certain type of, for viewing a certain type of content. That's not a condemnation or an endorsement of anything else. And simply pointing out that if you're living your life according to the ideal of some sort of goal, and then you're engaging in a behavior which is either not helpful or outright counterproductive to that goal, then I'm going to find that odd. But again, that's not a condemnation or a support for a certain goal or way of doing things. Oh, wait, no, the one game which I did find, which I really didn't like, was Ark Survival Evolved. But that's because I don't like survival games. Like, I really don't like them at all. And Ark just, like, the idea really intrigued me, but the execution was just kind of bad. And also, just because I really don't like survival games in general, I think I played, like... The thing is, I was going to refund it, but then I got talked into, like, joining a guild and ended up playing for, like, 8 or 9 hours, so now I can't refund it anymore. So I've got it stuck forever in my Steam library as, like, this constant, gigantic disappointment that it is. Come play Raw and go for the other side so I can slap you around. Yeah, good luck with that. No, when I PvP right and I fucking destroy everyone. Why don't you come play WoW, huh? Play a proper game, yeah? Yeah, WoW, proper game. WoW hasn't been a proper game for years. Fucking load up my Warlock, fucking smack you around all day, every day. Bring back my glorious arena Chiefs. I could pick that up, but I don't want to. I want to get the secrets. Or I could just pick it up and basically end the game here. Yeah, I know I can hide games from my library, but I don't want to hide it. I want my money back, because it's a piece of shit. But I'm never going to get it back, so I want it to sit there as a painful reminder to me. Yay, stuff. There is one more secret on this building, and I want it. Oh, you played WoW. Yeah, okay, you played WoW. I probably killed you then at some point. I've probably wrecked you at some point without even knowing it, because I'm just that good. Just ganking noobs and poning scrubs day and night, baby. When you play a proper PvP game, yeah, sure you do. What is ROR anyway? What kind of stupid abbreviation is that? With the same letter at the start and the end, and an O in the middle. Dirty dir to her. I miss AF-locking arenas. 3v3. Dots everywhere, and you can't kill me because corruption is stealing your life. I'm so strong. I'm completely useless at every other element of the game. I have literally no other role outside of 3v3 arena teams. But I'm here, baby! Yeah! Oh god, that was sad times. League of Legends. ROR, League of Legends. I think this might actually get us around to our final little secret, maybe. What? Why is this... Why? What? Why are you here? ROR is something so cool I can't grasp it. I doubt that very much. See, it's just so cool that you can't even bring yourself to utter the name because you know it's a piece of shit. That's how cool it is. See, now I'm just insulting the chat. ROR is something so cool you can't even Google it. You see, it's true. I'm currently playing a video game. I can't Google it. Implying I'm going to Google shit and do research while I'm relaxing. Nah. No. Still got 2 WoW free-to-play accounts. You made all the ponage happen as a healer. Aha! Bloody healers. I can't say anything. I was also a healer. And the tank. and a PvPing warlock. I may or may not have basically had no life at some point. That's just going to take us straight back to the start, but is there a way around the other side of the building? There is not. Okay. It's a private server version of Warhammer Online. Okay. I have surprisingly never played any of the Warhammer Online games. Just a lot of online games don't really appeal to me anyway, because they tend to not be very good. It's fun, it's free, and it's bugged as hell. No one likes buggy games. How do we find this final secret that I want to get? The real question is, where is this final secret that I want to get? Healer is best role. You lose your soul, but you don't deal with the devil out of it. You don't get a deal. Yeah, yeah, I like healer roles and tanking roles. I always preferred those to DPS roles. First of all, because there's always demand for you, so you'll always have a place basically everywhere. But yeah, the problem is just fucking stress, man. The stress. But to be honest, I kind of like the stress. I always found like DPSing and just DPS roles in general to just be pretty boring as shit, really. You know, it's like, you don't really do very much, and it's just like, you're a dime a dozen, so when it comes to like raid night or something like that, you're completely irreplaceable. No one cares. Oh, it's Warhammer Fantasy. No one really cares then. 40k is where it's at. Fantasy is alright, but 40k is better. You saw The Secret. Did you see... Ah, I have also seen The Secret. The Secret is around the corner. It's not even trying to hide from me. It's literally just round there. All I have to do is just run around the building. Can you climb up? You could totally climb up there, you... Ugh. Lazy bint. I think I know how to get around to it, though. Maybe we just go around here and walk around the building. I do believe that this is the way. Ah. This is not the way. Wait. There's a way down. Okay, we have to go up more and come down from that side. Okay, that's cool. 40k has tower shit. Fucking 4th edition heresy races. Acceptable Warhammer races include Space Marines, Orcs, Tyranids, Chaos, Eldar, Squats, Imperial Guard. That's about it. There we go, we've done the thing. Now we're gonna get what I believe is the last box and thus complete the campaign. I wonder if there's gonna be a free roam version after this, maybe or maybe not. At this point, though, I'm not entirely sure if I care. I just kind of want to go and have food. Now let's go grab this crate, and then I'm going to go eat food because I'm really hungry. Yes, orcs are heresy, but they are an acceptable race to play in the game. Necrons still cool, or did they get retconned to shit the last decade or so? I don't know. Necrons are alright, but meh. We shall open this box. It contains paracetamol magically. Oh no, it contains morphine. Even better. Everybody likes morphine. Let's see what the end of the game is. Gang raped by giant moss men or something, maybe. Let's find out! Will she become one of them, chat? Will she succumb to the moss and the stuff? You can tell I'm really, you know, emotionally invested in this character. That's why I've been, you know, talking about this game all the time and not loads of other completely unrelated shit. I think she just died from the moss. Yeah, you went out into the city and stuff. And that's it. It's... You went out, plus. Nope, that's it. Just overgrown city. Now you're dead. Or something. So let me guess. He's now going to be totally fine, and, yeah, that's it. She gave her life to save the boy with the anime eyes. Very convincing facial animations of what the fuck there. What? What? Why are they... Why aren't you freaking the shit out right now? Okay, I'm kind of officially very confused by the lore of this game. Because if those guys are, like, able to cure the things, why is it spreading and why are they not, like, working to cure all of the everything all the time, like all the other animals? That's... What? What? That is such a horrendously cheap ending. Like, actually making her having to, like, sacrifice to save the brother would have been such a more poignant ending than that. Because then it would be like, oh look, the struggle is real and all of the pain and, you know, a story of sacrifice and shit, but nope. Magic mushroom moss men come and they cure you because it's magic, bitch. And now you're totally A-okay. Which means, why has the moss been able to take hold of literally fucking everything if you can cure it all the time? What? Okay, no, I am thoroughly pissed off with the story of this game now. That ending, that was a cheap cop-out ending. I am putting this game in the same pile as The Last Jedi. With just how incredibly stupid that story was. They're so accepting, they're so foreign-friendly, they can even accept creatures without eyes. Meh. Just, ugh. Yeah, plot twist, the moss people are good people. Something. So why has the moss taken over everything? Why has the moss taken over all of the other life forms then? If it can all be cured and stopped, why have they not been doing that all the goddamn time then? If this moss isn't this... So the moss is a voracious predator thing, except it can be cured by people who are infected by it, which makes no fucking sense for the moss being some sort of predatory thing which has spread everywhere and overtaken the entire world. Yeah, it's true, chat. A real feminist ending. Yes, we can't have the woman die sacrificing herself for a man, because she's the strong, independent women. Therefore, you know, the idea of death and sacrifice for someone else, you know, a woman dying and sacrificing herself for someone else. No, we can't have that. No, fuck you, you can't do that. Men are allowed to die in video games, sacrifice themselves for other people, but not a woman. No, she has to be saved by magic. Because the moss is good. Is the moss good? The moss is making everything better. That's why... reasons. Or is that the... No, but then that makes no sense. If the moss was good, why would the moss dudes cure it? That makes no sense. If the moss is good because it's magical and it's healing the world of all of humanity's ills because, you know, anti-global, because, you know, global warming propaganda. Ooh, the plants have taken everything back because the plants are good and amazing. Woo! Then why would they cure someone of the moss? Surely they would want to aid the spread of the moss. It could be the completionist ending. That's not the completionist ending. That would be the non-completionist ending. The original ending didn't test well with the audiences, probably not. But there is an explore mode. I'm guessing this is just explore shit. Which means that there's probably not a completionist ending. Although, surely... Oh, you're just back. You're this, boy child is just gone now. When you looked up the game, you saw no mention of multiple endings. Probably because it's not got multiple endings. I like how the boy is just fucking vanished, though. Like, you go onto the explore mode and he is just literally nowhere. Wow, they observed her doing everything and saw her devotion. Yes, but if the moss is good for everything and good for humans, then why not spread the moss? Unless what? Is this like, oh, they realized that the moss has realized that humanity has changed and its work is done, and so they removed the moss or something like that? No, there were so many better endings that could have been done, namely an ending of self-sacrifice. Like, that would have made a much better story. You would have had it more in line with something like Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which has an element of sacrifice in it, but then you're still then left with, even though the child saves his father at the end, he has then grown up to become more mature and is still actually fundamentally in a worse off position because he's left with his father, who is basically then broken by the loss of his wife and his other son. So it's still kind of sad, but also a little bit happy at the end. Like, they could have had an ending kind of like this. Or kind of like that, as opposed to fucking magic saves the day. This ending was shit. Sorry, game, I was kind of actually into your story and whatnot, or into the possibility of your story until you said, lol, it's fucking magic, happy ending time, no, get fucked. That also really reminds me, I do really want to do a proper, like, analysis, like, video, go through, look at the Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. I know I've said it so many times, like, I want to do that, you know, go through, look at the world-building elements, because there's loads of sub-stories in that game told purely through the environment, that I would love to go through that, and actually look at the character building that goes through it, because there's a lot of non-verbal stuff, but the reality is I'm never going to do it. I do not have the time, nor the patience, nor the talent to do it. But yeah, this, that shitty ending that just, like, literally copped out on what could have actually been a good story ending, I am annoyed by that. That's, yep. The boy is gone. What's in the boxes now? There are no boxes. We have collected all of the boxes. There are no boxes left in the world. You have questions. Well, your questions are not going to be answered, I'm afraid. Make a postcard. Look, there you go. Okay, here we go. There's a postcard. Look. Proper smug face. I completed this game. The game has been completed. Look how smug. Yes, we did it. That's how I feel at the end of completing this game. No, it isn't. Hunger is making you crankier than usual. No, I'm annoyed about this. I would be this annoyed about the ending of this game even if I'd eaten. This was a full-on cop-out. Absolute nonsense. This is what happens, like, you see, you have a video game with a strong female protagonist. You know, she spends all damn day serving the patriarchy and, well, you know, fucking magic, right? You know, you can't actually go so far as to have a woman self-sacrifice herself for the benefit of someone else in a piece of media. No, that can't happen. God damn it, you know, Coltane was right in his latest video. The female power fantasy is to be able to do anything and get away with literally anything and no bad consequences. This game has confirmed his hypothesis. Oh dear. See? Chat gets it. I'm still in a good mood. Yes, I am. I'm still in a good mood even though I feel like this game was an absolute fucking cop-out. Complete and utterly. Story-wise at the end. Like, I was still okay, like, with the game. You know, it's a basic sort of, you know, pseudo-hidden object adventure, climbing, puzzle-y sort of thing. It's very relaxing, and I find the aesthetic to be very pleasing. You know, the soundtrack is nice and relaxing. It's quite a pretty game to play. You know, I have ultimately enjoyed playing it for the, like, what, 4 or 5 hour experience that it's been, but that ending took away what could have been a very poignant story ending. Like, it could have actually been something that sort of meant something, that really sort of showed that, you know, love and sacrifice thing, as opposed to, you know, love and, oh, magic, you know, the moss that's overtaken the world just so happens to want to make an exception for you for some reason, because, you know, you're just that, you're that special woman, aren't you? So, you know, you can't have a bad thing happen to you, yeah. The only good thing about this game, you could hit the arrow keys brain-deadly and chat with chat. Yeah, I can chat with chat, but do I want to chat with chat? Who knows? So is it back to the Darkest Dungeon? Maybe. Or I might do something else. I think I'm kind of done with the Darkest Dungeon. You know, I've played my own game through. Can I be bothered to continue doing the stream game through? Probably not. Maybe I'll do another one at some point, but I'll probably try and find something else. I've got another game which looks pretty good, actually, for streaming. It's a game called Valley. It's another game kind of like this. It seems like it's a sort of semi-puzzly platform exploration collectathon sort of game. So something kind of chill and relaxed, so I can maybe have some more chat with the chat and, I don't know, get horrendously sidetracked and rant about a load of shit that's completely unrelated to the stuff at hand, which, let's be honest, that's what video game streams are about, because otherwise, I do what I do in Darkest Dungeon, chat has a chat doing whatever the hell it wants, and I'm sitting there going, alright, so if we've got these abilities here, we can stack those things together, which means we can rotate people from position 1 through to position 3, leave position 4 in place, and that should enable us to do absolute critical damage on round 3, having set up the previous buffs from the 2 rounds from those characters, and then we can have a stacking debuff going on the back ranks for the ranged people, and it'll all be great. It's, you know, it's... I can't help but think that that might not be as interesting for chat. I could do something like Sunless Sea. I could do, but Sunless Sea requires a shitload of reading, and I'm not sure if I'd want to read all of that stuff to chat, or whether I'd just want to skim it, but then, you know, like read it to myself in my head, but then chat might not know what the fuck is going on, because they might not actually have time to read it, because not everyone is a quick reader, so... yeah, I don't know. That's as far as my opinion goes. Whatever. Well, chat, we have finished the game. I hope that you all now feel slightly less submerged, and various other terrible bits of wordplay or something like that. I could do visual novels and do voices for characters. No. That is fucking cancer when people do... Visual novels are barely games anyway. The very fact that there are entire YouTube channels out there which is basically people doing stupid voices while playing things which are barely games makes me die a little bit inside. Anyway, I am done, chat. We are done with the game, and so we are done with the stream, and I shall return, I don't know, probably another 3 or 4 weeks. Seems to be about the rotation that I'm on for doing shit on this channel. I really should actually, like, try and... I should try and set aside one evening or something a week and go from there to, like, actually do content, but who knows? I will do stuff as and when I feel like it, so fare thee well, chat, have fun, and may good fortune smile upon other people so that you are perpetually salty and mad. Because that's how the internet works these days. Fare thee well.